Very warm welcome to you indeed to the 39th European Rhythmic Gymnastics Championships taking place in Baku, Azerbaijan at the National Gymnastics Arena. It's time in just a moment for the second half of the individual all-around final at the 2023 European Championships. Let's hand over to our in-venue Masters of Ceremonies. These are the gymnasts who are in set A. It's a random draw, so we have a mixture of competitors from the top 24, but we do have the top 4 qualifiers who were randomly drawn into this group. So this is a very top-heavy group when it comes to the qualification results. What will that mean? Too soon to tell, because it's a zero start once the final begins. Spain's Alba Bautista, World Championship bronze medalist. Andreea Verdej of Romania, top 10 performer at these championships, or the European Championships. Ekaterina Vedenyeva of Slovenia. These are the gymnasts who you'll be watching in set A. Or rather, you'll be watching in this set coming up. Those are the gymnasts you've just seen. My apologies, my mind was on what is to come, not what has been. We've had Polina Karika as the top performer. And these are the gymnasts who will be trying to displace her. So, who have we got in this group? Well, let's start with the top qualifier. Siliana Nikolova of Bulgaria. We've got the silver medalist from the World Championships, Daria Varfolomeev. We have Victoria Onoprienko, the 4th best in qualification. We have Sofia Raffaeli, the reigning world champion, but only the 6th best in qualifying. And the 2-time all-around silver medalist, Boriana Kalin, the 2nd best in qualification. Now, at the moment, we have Polina Karika, Zora Agamirova and Polina Berezina 1, 2 and 3. The average score, and it's a little crude to talk about averages because all the apparatus are a little different, and generally hoop and ball score more strongly than clubs and ribbon, but it is worth bearing in mind an average. Polina Berezina 30.95, Zora Agamirova 30.6, and Polina Berezina 30.35. Those are the averages. We have an exhibition performance to get us underway, so we'll let you enjoy that now. What a moment to treasure for this young gymnast from Azerbaijan. Lovely performance, lovely way to get this all-around final back underway. Moment to really treasure that, performing in the National Gymnastics Arena in front of a huge crowd. Now that was a confident and really nice performance. now it is time for your main event, the continuation of the all-around competition. As I mentioned earlier, Polina Karika, well, she was the star of the show in the first half. As the 14th best in qualification, she's already guaranteed an improvement upon that based on what she's done in her all-around final. It was superb. Ollie Hochman here, and alongside me is Blythe Lawrence. And Blythe, I think it's fair to say Polina Karika was the gymnast that everyone was talking about in the mid-session interval.
She had it all in the first set. There was elegance, there was supreme control, and there were really beautiful performances. A career-making for apparatus for her, potentially.
I don't think that's any exaggeration at all. Zora Agamirova had a very good day, not quite as strong as the last couple of days, but nonetheless a compelling performance. Polina Berezina, excellent display from her. Polina Berezina is your gatekeeper at the moment to the medals. Bronze position, 121.4. It's her teammate who gets us underway in the second group. We welcome Alba Bautista, 11th best in qualification. She scored 31.45 with the hoop in qualification. That's such a regrettable opening for Alba Bautista in what is a beautiful routine as well. The start and the end, unfortunately, beset with issues. It's not the Alba Bautista we saw yesterday, unfortunately.
No, normally she gives such a competent and confident presentation with the hoop, but it's a big stage, there's a lot at stake in this final, and sometimes it does strange things to a gymnast.
It's such a nice piece of orchestration and choreography, the use of the tango, the small buttoned accordion, the bandoneon from Argentina that dominates it musically. She puts some tango steps into there to marry the whole thing together very well. It's one of the hallmarks of Alba Bautista's gymnastics is she gets it to the heart of the music, but there is no disguising, even though those leaps are just lovely, no disguising that a lot of marks will sadly have been lost. Can happen to anyone. Romania's Andreea Verdej came in as the 24th qualifier, and what a brilliant qualification place she earned. It was her work with the clubs and ribbon that got her into the final. She was not in a good place after the first day.
This is a much better performance with the ball than she showed in qualification. A few little imprecisions here and there on some of the rolls and balances, but nothing major to speak of, and that is already a huge improvement from what she displayed before.
The 22-year-old, she's from Iași, where Alexandra Agiurgiu-Calezi was born, the Italian gymnast who we saw in the previous group. A move that you'll see a great deal in this all-around final, the horizontal fouettes. More difficult skill in terms of what it's awarded than the passe position fouettes. 27.2 for Albert Bautista. And not as difficult as the high leg fouette, which is also employed by some gymnasts. To the World Games bronze medalist with the clubs, Ekaterina Vedenjeva of Slovenia, 8th best overall in qualification. The score for this was 30.2. That's a fine opening from Ekaterina Vedenjeva of Slovenia, the gymnast who turns 29 next month and who competed at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. 27.5 for Andreea Verdej. It's a very small improvement from qualification by 0.05 of a mark. Now, a gymnast who had a very good qualification campaign, placing inside the top 20. Poland's Emilia Heichel. She starts with the ribbon. This was the score she discarded in qualification, 25.45.
You've been hit by, you've been shot by a flu.
First performance in this final from Emilia Hajel of Poland. She was 32nd in the all-round competition a year ago. Look at the journey she's been on. Did have a few little overreaches to deal with, but she handled them in a very composed fashion. Now this is a significant number, 31.25 for Yekaterina Vedenyeva. She gains over a mark from qualification right off the bat to the top performer in qualification, Bulgaria's Stiliana Nikolova. And she begins with a routine that scored 32.85. Oh, what a start that was from Stiliana Nikolova, the top qualifier. The last Bulgarian winner was Maria Petrova in 1994 at continental level.
She has looked so confident building up to this competition at the World Cups. There are elements, signatures of her routine, including the beautiful side scale pivot that she has improved greatly compared to 2022. And she's just looked comfortable as well. There was perhaps one catch at the very end of the routine that was a little questionable, but overall it was superb.
All-around bronze medal, the European and World Championships, and that, Blythe, is the skill you're talking about, the incredible improvement in her balance and her power.
Excellent releve. She holds the position so long. And then, of course, she goes into the illusion sequence, 3 in a row, toss and catch of the hoop. That's important for her difficulty. It gets her a whole lot, but really everything she does in this routine is packed with difficulty. This, for example, the split leap in the ring position and then grabbing the hoop as it passes through her body. That's important too.
Much improved, Emilia Hajel of Poland, 26.6. She's up by over a mark from qualification. The 23rd best performer in qualification, Estonia's Esther Kreitzmann. And this was her best performance in the preliminary round, 29.55. She's only 15, really bright prospect. She may have just transgressed over the line right at the end there, Esther Kreitzmann. The depth in Estonian rhythmic gymnastics, so it's impressive. That is a whopping great score. 34.7 for Styliana Nikolova to get her final started. A huge, huge number. When you consider that we were talking about 30.95 as the average mark, albeit a crude average for the leader, we've just seen 34.7. Emmi Piiroinen from Finland, she scored 26.6 with the clubs. Finland's Emmi Piiroinen is the national champion in all-around competition. She'll be finishing her campaign with the ball, where she is also the national champion. So a very good performer at just 15.
And it was quite a strong beginning for her. The only issue in the routine really was the loss of the club just before the end. And because she doesn't have to take a lot of steps to retrieve it, the deduction she receives for that will be much lower than, say, if it had gone out of bounds. On the whole, she's quite an engaging performer. And considering how young she is, she's comported herself very, very well.
She made 3 finals at the Junior European Championships in Tel Aviv last year. And a lot of people really sat up and took notice of her as a contender coming through to senior competition. And we've said it with Estonia, how much they're developing. Well, Finland, their neighbours just over the waters, again, a really improved and exciting rhythmic gymnastics nation.
It was so interesting to watch them in the qualification round because the Finns and the Estonians were in the same set, and so you had them performing basically one after the other, and we were so just enthralled by the quality of the gymnastics. Very lovely pivot with her leg close to her head, dressing up the dynamic balance into a cabriole. And her sequence of fouettes with leg at horizontal. It's important for the gymnast difficulty that her foot doesn't travel, the foot that's anchored to the floor during those fouettes. And that, of course, the only place where there's a real tangible deduction here.
.96.95 the score for Emmi Piironen. So that's an improvement by 3.5 tenths from the preliminary round. .27.8 for Esther Kreisman, so she has dropped down by around a mark and a half. That was her strongest performance in qualifying. To the gymnast who won the silver medal in the all-around competition at the World Championships, Daria Varfolomeev, but no German has ever been on the continental all-around podium. Germany's Daria Varfolomeev has got to be regarded as a major contender in this competition. There are major contenders everywhere you look. Some superb gymnasts will not get onto the podium. But who will? This is going to keep us guessing, I think, today.
In many ways, this is a very favorable draw for her because starting with the ribbon means that she will finish with the ball and with the clubs, and those are arguably her two strongest apparatus. Of course, at the World Championships in the all-around final back in October, she finished with the ribbon, and that solidified her medal.
To Victoria Onoprienko of Ukraine, who was absolutely terrific in qualification, the fourth best. When you talk about gymnasts who understand music, who get how to bring a piece to life with their choreography, you've got to start with her at the heart of the discussion, Victoria Onoprienko.
This is a routine you can imagine playing very, very well with the crowds in Valencia later this year. And it's a routine that has already played very well with the judges in this arena. This was very strong overall. And you get so caught up in her showmanship that it's easy to forget that this is another routine that's just loaded with difficulty. It never stops.
This was her big scorer in qualification, 33.65. It's going to be a key part of her final. That's a big score, 32.1. Daria Varfolomeev has gained 0.7 of a mark from the preliminary round. A gymnast who has emerged at senior level, Daniela Muniz of Israel, 13th in qualification. A remarkably exciting young gymnast, Daniela Muniz of Israel. She scored 30.2 for that routine in qualification. Victoria Onoprienko's score is 32.85, so that is a drop of 0.8 from qualification, but it is still a big number.
To watch Daniela Muniz perform, you would never know that she is in her senior European Championship debut. She is well on her way to being one of the revelations of this competition.
She's come here having won 2 gold medals at her home Junior European Championships last year, so we know she can handle pressure. Now then, many questions. What will the answers be? Sofia Raffaeli is the all-around world champion. She finished 4th at the European Championships last year, and she comes into this as the 6th highest in qualification. Very interesting indeed. Sofia Raffaelli. That was a performance and a half.
Oh my goodness, what a maximalist.
There was a moment at the start, just as she set herself, where she seemed to flicker, and you wondered, what are we about to see? And then that happened.
She had difficulty, just a little bit, holding her opening pose. But once the routine got going, well, there was really no problem at all. And it's such risky business, Sofia Raffaelli, with the clubs. And she handled it all masterfully today. And there have been moments in her career, even at the World Championships, where she has had difficulty with the clubs. But look at that.
That sort of rebound is incredibly hard to get right. It is, as you say, Blythe, full of risk. But it's moments like that that are the reason why her difficulty score is always huge.
We haven't seen a rebound like that from anyone else in this competition. And that's just one thing that she's doing here. Every half a second, there's something else that is done in a rotation or behind the back or under the leg.
30.65. Well done to Daniela Muniz. She gains 4.5 tenths from qualification. We go now to Boriana Kalin of Bulgaria, who did not perform with the ribbon in qualification. The gymnast who missed her home World Championships at the end of last season, but who has 2 consecutive all-around silver medals at continental level. Boriana and Bonnie, a suitable combination, a very suitable combination to borrow from one of Bonnie Tyler's later songs. Maybe Boriana Kalin saying with that performance, "Believe in me." This is what we're now going to see in the second of 4 rotations. We'll give you an update on the standings just as soon as we can. No question, though, whatever the number is for Sofia Raffaelli. Okay, well, that's big. 32.35. I was about to say, whatever the number, it's better than qualification. It's way better than qualification. She's gained over 1.5 marks. That is significant. Now we look at Boriana Kalin.
And she's really had such a journey to get to this European Championship. She was actually in the arena to perform in Sofia at the World Championships last autumn. She took ill and had to withdraw from the competition. This was the only place at the beginning where there was something significant to deduct from in this exercise. And notice how quickly she deals with it and gets right into her beautiful attitude turn, combining it with a side scale pivot. They're very good at the side scale pivots, the Bulgarians. And the rest of the routine, it was very clean. And that's been one of the things that has come over through her qualification process. She just seems to be taking it easy, doing her job, and minimizing any mistakes. She's looked very calm.
From an execution standpoint, certainly a fair amount to deduct right at the start, but from an artistry standpoint, well, this ought to do rather nicely.
And from a difficulty standpoint as well, of course, one of the trademarks of her gymnastics is her amazing fouette pivots, and there are a lot of them in every exercise.
She's so high up on the standing leg. It is extraordinary athleticism.
It's a routine that does seem to say, hey everyone, I'm back. She competed at the first World Cup of the season in Athens and won the bronze medal in the all-around, but then afterwards felt some fatigue and thought that she should take her foot off the gas for a little while, and she did, and since then, she has looked amazing.
Will it be the sweet smell of success here in Baku for Boriana Kalane? Certainly she's looking fresher, that is clear. And that's great to see.
Yes, these pivots have been missed.
And those are her classical balletic fouettes in the passé position that we have known and loved about her gymnastics for so long. Fouette, as I'm sure many of you know, French for whipped, and she does whip around in those like nobody's business. 31.25, Boriana Kalane's score. Second best that we've seen with the ribbon. Now to Alba Bautista. Back we go to the top of the order already. A gymnast who performs with such delightful elegance and musicality, Alba Bautista. We have been saying, Blythe, throughout this competition, the two Spanish gymnasts in individual competition are completely different and yet united by the same quality, which is that sense of artistry, that ability to find a meaningful connection with the music. They do it in different ways, don't they? But they do it.
Both of them manage to create a universe and to pull you into that universe. Sometimes watching them, you almost feel a bit surprised when it comes to an end because you're so into the routine. But yes, stylistically, very different.
I think that's really nicely put. That sense, actually, that when gymnasts like Alba Bautista finish performing, particularly with her ribbon routine, you always just feel rather irritated. You think, can we have a bit more of it, please? Can you just keep going for the next hour and a half?
Please,
we'll all sit there and enjoy it and watch. Gosh, the home crowd's going to go mad for them in Valencia. And we've got the Spanish group to come later as well. Representing Romania, it's Andreea Verdej. This was a really important performance for her yesterday in getting into the all-around final. She scored 27.3. Away from her life as a competitive gymnast, Andreea Verdej is a master's degree student at the Alexandra Ioan Cuza University in Iași, her home city. The university founded in 1640.
And this is such a big, dramatic performance. She gets real height on her turning split leaps. Good extension of her head backwards as well. It's a nice over-split position. And notice, of course, that the clubs are always in motion.
Please welcome
29.35 for Alba Bautista. At the conclusion of the first rotation, it was Stiliana Nikolova ahead of Victoria Onoprienko, ahead of Sofia Raffaeli. Those your top three, but still some way to go. From Slovenia, Ekaterina Vedenjeva. She scored 31.15 with the ribbon in qualification. This has always been one of her strongest apparatus. World Championship bronze medalist. She's made quite a start to this all-around final. Ekaterina Vedenieva. She said, if you believe in a dream, you follow it. And my word, has she followed it. Followed and followed and followed to the ends of the earth to produce her best gymnastics beyond the point where most have retired.
And despite her, you know, in quotation marks, advanced age, she has been producing some of the very best work that she has ever done. This is a routine that is veritably sprinkled with fairy dust. And just as we talked about with the Spanish gymnast, the gymnast that creates the universe with her routine is the one that gives us something a little extra. She is an actress.
And she is also an almighty ballet dancer. I mean, the pure balletic skill is so refined. Look at the standing leg there. So high up on her toes. Releve is never an issue. In fact, it's a revelation with Vedenieva.
And it's such a glorious performance that you almost hate to talk about the technical things. There was one place in this exercise, the boomerang, where she releases and pulls back the stick by holding the end of the ribbon and then catching the stick, where she did have to kind of lunge to the side, and that will be an error of trajectory. The judges will see it. But again, it's almost a pity to talk about when you have these amazing spirals and the attitude derrière position in pivot, and this lovely little fouette jump that she adds at the end. When you're looking at that, it's hard to concentrate on anything else.
More than lovely, it also gives some precious difficulty. She's not one of the highest scorers when it comes to difficulty, but she tends to be right up there with artistry and indeed with execution. And as you have said on many occasions over the years, Clyde, there's more than one way to build a score.
There is. She came up during a period where execution was really the most paramount thing in rhythmic gymnastics, and she has rather weathered the changes to the code that have brought difficulty to the forefront.
That is real power going into those leaps, putting in the back bend, head coming back. Again, that's not just a style decision, it's a difficulty decision. If the torso head remains straight, then you don't get anything like as much as if you flick the head back, and if you can really bend the trunk back as well, then more tense will follow. These are the Grand Battement inspired dynamic balances of rhythmic gymnastics. Lovely toe point going into side scale.
And a note about the leaps, her amplitude is seriously impressive, especially when you take into consideration the fact that a rhythmic carpet is not a spring floor like we see in artistic gymnastics. There's just wood under the thin layer of carpet.
In Tel Aviv at the European Championships last year, some acrobatic gymnasts came out to do a little demonstration in between one of the sessions, and they took one step on the floor and you could see them immediately going, we're going to have to change what we do here because this is not the kind of surface we were anticipating.
There is a reason that some of the gymnasts even train with knee pads. A soft surface it isn't.
The score still to be released, to be finalised for Ekaterina Vedenieva. She started so impressively with that 31.25 with the clubs. For those of you who are real purists about balletic technique, we've decided just to leave Ekaterina Vedenieva on a 24-hour channel for you. Now here we go, we've got a score coming in. 27.9 for Andrea Verdes with the clubs. That's a gain of 0.6 from qualification. 30.15 for Vedenieva, so she's lost a mark from qualifying, but she gained a mark with the clubs. 6 of one, half a dozen of another for her so far. Next, the young gymnast from Krakow in Poland. Now, there's room for this to be higher scoring than in qualifying. Emilia Heichel hit 27.55 on the first day of competition. What can she do here? Emilia Heichel of Poland, huge congratulations to her on winning her first senior all-around national championship this year. She was the silver medalist in 2022. It's a great accomplishment to get to the top of the tree domestically and to qualify in the top 20 for a continental final. Very impressive. Now then, the inquiries are upon us. Boriana Kalane challenging her body difficulty. We go back to this exciting young athlete from Poland.
She is at the forefront of a Polish generation that is one of the very strongest they have ever had. We are going to be hearing much more about Poland in the next couple of years.
Based on their performances at the Junior European Championships last year in Tel Aviv, you are spot on. The top performer after the first rotation, Stiliana Nikolova of Bulgaria. This was her best display in qualifying. She scored 34.6. She could have a huge lead at the halfway point if all goes according to plan. think she might possibly have come here to win this, you know. Stiliana Nikolova of Bulgaria is giving it everything. What a start.
She has always had such a wonderful quality as a performer, but in her past few competitions, what has emerged is a kind of technical sharpness that it's looking like nobody can beat right now.
She dominated at the Baku World Cup last month. She might be about to dominate at the Baku European Championships. 29.65 for Emilia Hajel. Well done to her, because she's gained 2.1 marks from qualification. That's a terrific result. Back for a second time